Okay, ready when you are, Mr. President.
Roll call, please.
Director Brett Eccles.
Here.
Director Arthur Perry.
Here.
Secretary Arlene Schaefer.
Here.
Vice President Michael Schaefer.
Here.
President Robert Uten.
Here.
Thank you.
We've had several public comments that have been sent to the directors. Do we have any other public comments, or do we need to make note of those public comments in this forum?
I would just like to let the record reflect that we did receive 3 written public comments that have been included in the agenda for the public's review and have been disseminated to the board for their review.
Are there any other public that want to address the board at this time? I don't see any hands raised, so we'll go on to items of study. First is the January 21 Code Enforcement Officers Report, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to turn this over to Ed Roberts.
Good morning, President Uten and members of the Costa Mesa Sanitary District Board. Ed Roberts, District Code Enforcement Officer, presenting the January 21 Code Enforcement Officer Report and the December 2020 Code Enforcement Officer Report. Just for purposes of brevity, for December 2020, 7 scavenging investigations and 81 cases issued. No items of note regarding that month. And does anybody have any questions regarding December 2020?
You can go on, Ed.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Okay, and moving forward, January 2021, I conducted a series of 5 scavenging investigations throughout Costa Mesa. Again, I made some map references for the board should they have any questions. Locations were concentrated again in the west side primarily. Did have 1 east side location. And no items of note on that. Does anyone have any questions regarding the scavenging or the narratives?
Do any of the directors have any questions?
No, I think his explanation and maps show everything that's happening.
Yes, sir. There's always a at a glance map at the rear of the report if anybody has any questions, but you'll see that they're all primarily concentrated on the west end of town.
Thank you, Ed. Let's go on to item number 2, the 2020 Christmas tree collection. Scott, will Nolani be doing, or not Nolani, but Nabila, you be doing this?
Yes, Mr. President. I'm going to turn this over to Nabila Guzman, who'll be giving this report.
Good morning, President Uten and members of the board. Annually, the Costa Mesa Sanitary District, in partnership with CR&R, host a Christmas tree collection program for approximately 12 days after Christmas Day. This season, the collection of Christmas trees was advertised as being completed from Monday, December 28th through Friday, January 8th. The dates were agreed upon in early summer and advertised ahead of time in the district's fall newsletter. The program is only for district trash customers, and the trees must meet the following criteria for them to be collected. Odd decorations, lights, and tree stand must be removed. They must set the tree on the ground next to their trash carts on collection day. And trees taller than 6 feet must be cut in half. This year, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, CR&R notified district staff that severe delays were to be expected with Christmas tree pickups. Due to staff shortages, CR&R sent a formal letter with this information, and the district staff promptly posted the letter on the website. As we know, the delay of collection trees caused a lot of confusion and frustrations with our residents. A lesson learned from this event is that staff could have done a better job advertising the expected delay by including the information in our holiday delay notice for Christmas and New Year's, as that was shared on the district's social media and by the city of Costa Mesa. Any following or updated notices on the Christmas tree delays was not shared by the city of Costa Mesa, which I feel like residents who only follow the city's web pages were not receiving the updates that the district was putting out. Included in your staff report are the various social media posts that staff posted regarding the Christmas tree delay. On January 6th, a previously scheduled post was posted on social media reminding residents to place the tree out for collection before the January 8th deadline. This should have been caught by staff, as this notice only increased the emails and calls CMSD HQ was receiving from residents whose trees had not been collected. Staff should have used the post to remind residents that the trees were still collected and thank them for their patience. On January 11th, CMSD posted on social media a notice that tree collections continued to be delayed and that Christmas tree collections were extended for a week. Staff and the CRNR Senior Sustainability Coordinator and the route manager were in daily contact on tree collection progress. So the first week of the Christmas tree pickup, which was from Christmas through New Year's, no Christmas trees were collected because of staff shortages, but the trees resumed the following week and for 2 weeks after that. So Christmas tree collections were extended a week from January 8th through the 16th, which is where 90% of the remaining trees were collected. The tree collections have always followed the trash day schedule, but with collections being completed by a separate vehicle that only focuses on Christmas trees, when the driver finished a route for the day, he moved on to the next day's route. So it was possible to have a Wednesday trash pickup, but have your tree collected Monday or Tuesday. From the week of January 18th through January 22, CMSD received 20 requests for missed trees, and all were completed within a day of receiving the notice from residents. Other lessons learned from this year's delay was to communicate and update residents more frequently on social media and make sure that all previously scheduled posts reflect ongoing changes to reduce panic. We must also remind residents the criteria to be met for their Christmas trees to be collected. Residents were not placing their tree curbside, but rather on their yard, which makes it really hard for the driver to notice. Some residents were also placing the tree in the back for collection, so the driver doesn't collect it because it just looks like excess trash. Additionally, the program is only for CMSD trash customers, and headquarters did receive a lot of calls from dumpster residents that their trees were not being collected. Currently, the city does not offer a program for Christmas tree collection for dumpster residents, and no information was provided to the district on how residents should dispose of their tree. This concludes my report. I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do any of the board members have questions?
Yes, I do. I have a comment. I was just thinking that I wonder if in our next newsletter, we could just say something of thank you to all the people who had Christmas trees out and the delay because of the COVID. And, you know, we're sorry and we're happy that you had that understanding why we were detained, you know, something of this type. I don't care if CRR was the one who put it in or if we put it in together or whatever, but I just thought maybe that would be courtesy toward, you know, letting them know that we do understand what happened.
Hey,
Thank
Bob,
you.
I have a comment also,
Okay.
because I think the last meeting you said that the city's regulations are different than ours. Is that still correct? We should probably have a meeting with them, let them know what our regulations are, because I think ours extends longer than theirs, or vice versa.
No, I researched it on the city website. The city website refers to the Costa Mesa Sanitary District, and they did post our letter. Well, that indirectly. Well, the problem is, I think residents think that they don't understand that we're a special district separate from the city. But when I went on the website, it did, and Googled Christmas trees, it referred to what the staff had posted, which was a week's extension of the service. So that was the confusion. My neighbor said, the city's posted this way. It was our posting that was posted on the city's website. Well, indirectly, you go to the city website and you end up seeing what Nabilia was talking about.
Well, that makes me feel better than if the city's doing what we asked them to. That's good.
A couple other questions. Were the complaints, Nabilia, were the complaints significantly, well, are they similar to previous year's complaints or more?
No, there were more complaints because their trees had been out for over a week. So we did receive more significant complaints or a significant increase than previous years. But once we spoke to them and explained the delay, staff shortages, they were very kind, they were very patient, they understood. And we just took their address and added it to the list to forward to the route manager for collection.
Yeah, I was one of the ones that called in a couple of streets around my neighborhood, but did those 20 complaints include the ones from multifamily housing?
No, so if it was for multifamily housing, we asked them to contact their trash provider. So their number is on the dumpster. So it could be waste management, where, so if they had a dumpster, we did not collect the tree.
The social media, you know, in our last survey, in 2012, social media was nearly not used by any of the customers surveyed, and that went up pretty significantly in 2016. I expect with the Tri-Pepe effort, our communications consultant, that probably will continue to increase. But even in 2016 survey, only 36% of the people use social media. So I think it was very important that you notified the city, and the city did post it because I think the cities is where most residents go to look for, you know, these kinds of programs first rather than the districts. So it was a tough year.
Mr. President?
Any other comments, Brett?
Yeah, couple, or maybe a question and a comment. So I think staff did a fine job of communicating that there were going to be delays through social media, and that was fine. The problem is when a resident sees, okay, it's going to be delayed. Well, okay, I think we could all understand COVID, blah, blah, blah. But when there's no answer along with that letter or explanation, hey, you're going to get delayed. Well, okay, for how long? And when's it going to be rectified? And how is it going to be rectified? That caused a lot of frustration, myself included, to be honest. My street didn't get picked up. I mean, my 3-block radius didn't get picked up until the very, very, very end. I mean, it was a real problem, and no actual answers were provided. And I think a meeting or two ago, I had asked if we can talk to CR&R and ask them, can we get some sort of plan going forward so this doesn't happen again? Because if it's not COVID, it could be something else. And say, okay, well, this section of the city is going to be picked up by Thursday of this week. This section is going to be picked up by Friday of this week. Some sort of plan. And if you want to look at it by our little elected divisions, that's fine. But something like that to where we can actually post answers and say, yep, we're going to be delayed, but we're going to be delayed in this section of the city till Wednesday of next week. That would be that you would cut down on phone calls dramatically on that. Is that something Scott or Nabila that we can or have talked to CR&R about?
Yeah, I'm making notes right now, Director Eccles, and something that's definitely we can plan for next year, definitely.
Okay, because you know, like I said, and I'll wrap up on this, is, you know, we understand delays and all that, but you got to have an answer and a follow-up. Just saying, well, we're delayed again with no answer, that gets people very fired up. So if we could talk with our trash provider about a plan going forward, that'd be great.
Any other directors' comments?
Yeah, Bob, this is Mike. Couple quick things. Nabila, do you have any idea when we're going to get the numbers on how much, you know, our organics numbers for the collection of the trees?
I am hoping they will be available next month.
Okay, that's fine. The other thought that I had, and it kind of addresses multifamily and single families who might get missed, but one of the things I'd like to see us maybe consider for next year, and maybe talk to CR&R and see if this is feasible. But I know that in my neighborhood, we have real estate agents who have special events, whether it be, you know, a garage sale or whatever. But one of our real estate agents a couple of years ago did a spring cleaning event where they paid for a dumpster, a large roll-off dumpster, and people could take their stuff out of their garage, and they could throw it away. Maybe we could talk to a real estate agent or two who sometime after Christmas would consider at different locations in the city, maybe at the corporate city yard, maybe at our yard, putting a roll off that people could take their trees to. If they don't want to wait for their normal trash pickup, maybe they could take their old tree and put it in that dumpster. So just an alternative, just a component that we might want to see if that's feasible. I don't want to see roll-offs all over the neighborhoods, but there are places I think we could put these things and be discreet and maybe give people another alternative with their trees.
Mike, I think that's a great idea. We could do that as an agency to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it would help with our organics percentages too, I would think.
Exactly.
Well, I think, I think the Christmas tree, when the tonnage is reported, that is a part of our organics program. I think CRNR calculates it that way. At least they take them to their anaerobic digesters.
Right.
And they charge us for it. And that's the other issue I had. So I thought I saw somewhere in the staff report that this is a no-cost program. There are no-cost programs that a private vendor provides. Those programs, there's no immediate cost to have that picked up, but I'm sure CRNR embeds it in their costs. So it is not a no-cost program.
President Nguyen, we don't get charged for the collection of the trees, but we get charged for the processing of the tonnage.
We get charged for the collection of the trees. CRNR does not do this as a Christmas present to the sanitary district.
So they don't charge extra for the collection. So they collect it for free because the truck is coming around, but we do pay for the processing of the trees.
Well, you and I have a different opinion on what we've just said, but be that as it may, I got elected because one of the directors said, we had a free program, and it was not free. It was embedded in the contractor's cost. So, be that as it may, I think it should be careful to say that this is a free program. Anyway, just a comment. Any other directors' comments?
And I'm sorry, Mr. President, I just had one question for Nabila.
Go ahead, sure.
And I honestly, I'm on social media, but I'm not I'm not a Twitter user myself. But I do know the benefits of Twitter over, say, Insta and Facebook and all that. Are these memos also announcements being tweeted out to people who sign up on Twitter?
Gina can answer that, but I believe it was posted on all social media sites. Gina, can you confirm?
Yes, they are posted on all three. We always push out all three at the same time.
Gotcha. Nope, I appreciate that. Looks like I gotta get with the program and get on Twitter, I guess. So we'll see. Thank you.
Are you sure they'll let you? You might.
Yeah, I might have a lifetime ban, and I didn't even know it.
I can't even spell Twitter, so I'm not.
Well, I'm on Twitter, but I never look at it. But Nabila, one thing we could use information on is the Tri-Pepe communications effort. Probably is part of that program is tied to increasing our social media presence in many different ways, but they were also tasked with providing a substantial increase in our social media contact, like emails to residents. So when staff does present that, I'd like to see the supposed or the progress in those areas, because well, anyway, I said that's all I can think of how to say it, but anyway.
We will include that information when it comes. I believe the report, the board is being updated next month, so we will include all of that information.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other director's comments on item number 2? The artificial intelligence manhole program, Scott, or who are you doing that?
No, Nabila's be giving us report, Mr.
Okay,
President.
Nabila, you've got a prime presence today.
Yes, President and members of the board. The Costa Mesa Sanitary District has embarked on a new project to use machine learning to detect sewer manholes, monitor their condition, and quickly identify those that need to be repaired. The district has approximately 218 street miles, including 14 alley miles, and approximately 5,000 manholes within the district. As you can imagine, the process to detect and rate every single manhole within the district is very time-consuming because the manholes are on the road. In 2013, a consultant verified manhole locations and rated each manhole on the road. Each manhole on the scale of 1 through 5, so from least deterioration to most. Wastewater staff uses a manual to learn where manholes have been deteriorating and then went on site annually to physically inspect them. This resulted in a very labor-intensive task. Last year, the district contacted Spring ML, who had developed a similar machine learning model to detect potholes with the city of Memphis, Tennessee. Over the last year, Spring ML and CMSD have been working on identifying the different manhole grades to teach the model to identify and grade manholes correctly. This innovative technology will improve the frequency of detections from annually to quarterly, as well as help the district be proactive in detecting and replacing deteriorating manhole covers. The project has completed the testing phase and will be completing the first official recording next month. On a quarterly basis, the district's code enforcement officer will spend 2 weeks recording streets in CMSD service area. A GoPro camera is attached to the hood of the code enforcement vehicle, facing the ground with no visible horizon in the shot, which guarantees no personal information will be recorded. The code enforcement officer is being used to record the service area because he is the only employee who drives around the district daily. Staff explored the option of having the wastewater staff record, but they only drive from the yard to a pump station or a designated area to clean. Having them record would take away from their cleaning schedules. The code enforcement officer can record the service area in 2 weeks by recording anywhere from 1.5 to 2 hours a day, while still investigating open cases for carts out and scavenging. This new duty to record manholes will not take away from any of his regular duties as code enforcement officer. After recording for the day, district staff will upload the videos onto Google Cloud for the machine learning model to automatically process and provide manhole results on the website created by Spring ML. The website provides manhole results with GPS location, manhole ID, and grade. After the videos are processed, Tanisha will be taking the lead in verifying results for manholes graded 5 and 4, and will be sharing the results with the wastewater crew for further handling. As more data is fed into the model, the system becomes smarter and there will be less time needed by staff to verify results. I will now, I'll be showing the board what the manhole website looks like, so just give me a second. Nalani, can you give me permission to share?
Sure, give me 1 second, Avila. Hang on.
Well, let me ask, have all the directors looked at the 2 different manholes? I think all the directors probably have seen the difference in the grade 1 and the grade 5 manhole. Are you trying to put the attachments up?
No, I was trying to share the website that staff will utilize.
I haven't seen that. Okay.
So when you log in, you get a map view. This is all the areas that have been recorded, and the pins are color coded. So all the greens are 1s, 2s are blues, 3s are yellow, 4s are orange, and then 5 are red. So staff will be focusing on the 4 and 5s to get them fixed. So let me, so once the video is processed, the machine learning will take videos, will take still pictures of the video, and then this is how the manholes are. I'm sorry. So this is what the website looks like. So it'll populate a manhole ID based on the manhole IDs that the district had. It shows the GPS location. And as you can see, it's a cropped picture of just the manhole. So this is graded a 5. There's annotations on the picture, which shows why it's a 5. You can see the cracks on the apron and around the ring. Let me see if here is another manhole that's a 5. You can see how the apron is very deteriorated. So again, after Tanisha reviews all the results, all these 4 and 5s will be shared with Steve Cano and the wastewater guys for them to go out and physically inspect, and then just put it on the list to repair.
Correction, they won't go physically inspect, but what they do, they give the report to staff, and then we prepare bid sheets and go out to bid and repair them. That's the whole objective of this program, is that staff doesn't have to go out there and visually inspect them anymore. So because there is a safety issues to that, and it's just more efficient doing it this way. So yeah, so maybe if you could also show the first map where it had all of the manholes color coded. I thought that was kind of a neat map where we can really pinpoint where all the 5s are. Yeah, if you can get zoom in closer, I guess. Yeah, close. Yeah, so you see as we get closer, we can see where all the manholes are, and the orange and the reds kind of pop up and say, okay, that's where we need to focus on.
But this concludes my report. I am happy to answer any questions or show you any other part of the website you may be interested in.
Do any of the directors have any questions or comments?
That looks pretty phenomenal, the way they've done.
Well, Nabi, how are we able to focus on just, there's probably 5 different types of manholes in the streets and valve boxes. And many of them look just like sanitary district manholes, like the storm drain manholes. Is it GPS sensitive so that it doesn't pick up those other manholes in the street?
No, the first part of the project focused on providing a lot of pictures of what our manhole looks like. So it is smart enough to detect only manholes. So we don't even get water manholes. It's a pretty smart system, so it does only detect sewer manholes. During this first testing phase, we had less than 5% of them were false manholes. So again, we don't even get water. The rectangular manholes, I think we got 3 of those during our entire recording and during the testing phase.
Well, storm drain manholes. Yeah,
well, like for example, utility manholes, we saw like utility manholes have a large like square concrete apron around them. And so it would pick that up as a manhole, but then we would identify it, so that's not a sewer manhole. So again, the more information we feed into the system, the smarter it gets. So now it's not going to recognize what type of manholes.
The storm drain manholes look exactly like and are the same size as sewer manholes. So you're able to distinguish them is what I'm saying. So right down the street, they're all over the place also in certain parts of the city. But Nabi, do you know what the cost of the consultant's effort was back when we did it?
Yes, give me one moment.
Are you
It's
talking about
included in the staff report?
President, are you talking about the consultant report we did back in 2013, 15, when we actually
Yes.
went out there physically?
Yes.
That I don't know off the top of my head. It was done in 2013, 2015. I don't know off the top of my head. I know it was
Yeah.
Wilden Engineering that did it.
Yeah. Okay. But when you find that number, I'd be interested in it.
Sure.
Do
Let
any of the directors have any other questions?
Mr. President? I
Yeah.
do.
Sure.
Question, and this might have been where President Uten was going with, but we're currently in the second contract with Spring ML. And what's the duration of this contract versus the first, or versus anything we're going forward with?
Well, the contract is pretty much it's over. Basically, we'd have a contract for Spring ML just for support service if we need it, and they would charge us an hourly rate. So their fulfillment of the contract has been completed, and so they're just available if we need them.
Okay, so going forward, budgetary purposes and everything else, do we have a good idea with them, and then everything else involved, what this is going to be on a long-term financial picture for us?
For Spring ML, I'm anticipating to be less than $5,000 a year.
Okay, all right, great.
This website is completed, if I can add. This website's completed, so all we have to do is continue to upload quarterly videos. If there are any issues, our IT department or IT contractor has been trained on how to modify the website, or if there's an error uploading the video, they know how to fix it. So ongoing costs with Spring ML would be minimal.
That's fantastic. And I apologize if this had been talked about with the board some time ago, but has there been a cost analysis of, I mean, to me, it makes sense, obviously, versus our own staff going out there for safety and time and everything else. Has there ever been a analysis between what this will do in terms of financial savings and safety and blah, 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 versus what we've been doing with our own staff?
Well, I can partially answer that. When I used to operate the sewage treatment plant in Orange County Sand District, we had several incidences where at least the insurance company had to pay for some of that asphalt in the apron, getting up in somebody's vehicle and destroying a tire or doing damage to the vehicle. It was actually probably in the insurance company, although I can't remember. There was a cost, and there was a lawsuit, several lawsuits, and that's what made me at least pretty keenly aware that as I walk a lot in the district, I saw some of these manholes and or aprons deteriorating, and staff jumped on it right away. But this is a very holistic program. I think the ongoing costs are probably what we pay the company for having cloudability, which is $360 a month or $360 a year. I think that's what it costed it out as, and some other costs, which Scott estimates to be less than $5,000. So it's a good question.
Yeah, we have not, to answer your question, Director, because we haven't completed a full cost benefit analysis. Our intention is to do that within a year or two after it's fully implemented, so we can get the true cost and we can do a very comprehensive analysis.
Oh, fantastic. That sounds great. Thank you very much.
I think also we should inquire about whether the city wants this. I've turned in several manholes where the apron was deteriorating or partially missing that were in the storm drain category. So I don't think Mesa has many, but Orange County Sand District actually has manholes running through the city with their very large trunk lines. So I think we ought to talk to the city about the potential of, they have the same exact problem with their storm drain manholes. And Orange County Sand District also has manholes, although they're generally larger. But, maybe we could be an asset to the other utilities, that have manholes all over round manholes all over the city. But so
Yes,
I would
that's-
encourage staff to inquire, at least alert the city of this potential, because I've seen storm drain manholes where the aprons were deteriorating, and as soon as I told them about it, they took care of it.
Yes, President, and we plan on, as Nabila mentioned, the system just identifies manhole. It could be, you're right, it could be the Orange County sanitation manholes, which it has detected those manholes. And so we made a decision just to keep those manholes in the system. If we see them deteriorate, then we would notify the city or notify OCSD, hey, this manhole's deteriorated, you might want to jump on it. So that's been our game plan, to keep it in the system.
The storm drain manholes also?
Yes.
Okay,
Mr. President, President,
sure.
why couldn't we put this on the liaison committee for our next meeting? Because it'd be interesting for everyone to know what's going on, as well as the city, their part.
Yes, that's no problem. Sure, we can do that.
And I've also observed Mesa's little valve box manhole apron things, that are deteriorating. So Mesa would be potentially interested, city definitely interested in Orange County Sand District. Hopefully.
Bob, this is
Any
Mike.
other direct? Oh,
Yeah,
Mike,
Bob.
go ahead.
So the code enforcement officer, and this is probably more of a logistical thing, but the code enforcement officer's got the GoPro established, and he's going to drive around and identify the manholes that need work on it. My guess, and based on what we've looked at over the last several years, code enforcement officer has a pretty defined area that he goes to. He knows where the problems are with code enforcement. Do we need to look at expanding this is a great program, and it like you said, it's going to benefit a lot of different agencies. So do we need to increase the code enforcement officer being in areas that aren't normally his target areas, or how does all of that play into this?
We don't believe so at this time, but again, this is a relatively new program. So as we get deeper into it, and if we think we need to expand his services, then we'll come back to the board and make that request.
Okay.
But at this time, we think he can do everything within the 4 hours he works here, 4 hours a day.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that he's going to have to expand his look at area, right? I mean, he's going to have to go to areas he doesn't normally see as hot spots for recycling violations. So I appreciate what you said, Scott. I understand.
Do any other directors have any comments or questions? Then let's go on to the community shredding event.
President Uten, this is Jim Mosier. Can we have a public comment on this?
Oh, sure. I didn't see you.
Yes. Yeah. Today I cannot
Thank
find
you.
a raise hand button anywhere on the screen, so I don't know how to interject the comments. My understanding from the staff report was the code enforcement officer is going to cover all of the streets in the entire district every quarter. At least that's the way I read it. I had two quick questions about this. One, the photos that we're seeing, presumably taken from the GoPro camera on that vehicle, are very clear. Does that happen with the vehicle traveling at a normal speed, or does it have to move slowly to take these photos? That was one technical question. And the other technical question is the report says we're paying $300 a month for the Google Cloud platform. I'm not totally understanding if that is just to upload the videos and then the company downloads and analyzes them. Is the whole software existing on the cloud? And if so, is that something that could equally well be hosted on a computer that the district already has in its headquarters? In other words, it sounds like an unnecessary middleman. Why is Google involved in this? Thank you.
Nabil, you want to answer those
Nabil?
questions?
Yes, I can answer that question. So the vehicle does not need to slow down and can travel at normal speed, especially when we're driving on like harbor, where there's a lot of traffic, cars drive a lot faster. The camera, when the video is processed, it takes about 3 or 4 frames per second. So that is how the manhole pictures are so clear. We also received guidelines from Spring ML of when to record. So we record early in the morning to avoid clouds and shadows, because that would give false positives. Regarding Google Cloud, the cost for Google Cloud, where it lives, and that's where the machine learning lives, the costs vary every time you run the machine. There's a cost for the videos to be processed. So the last Google Cloud, it's about $300. That's assuming that we are going to upload every 3 months. And it takes about a day for the videos to be processed. So that's where the model lives. We did not explore it living in the computer because it would need a lot of storage. The videos are pretty large if we're out there recording for 2 weeks for 2 hours a day. So we do not have the storage, we do not have the capacity at headquarters to host all the videos. So it is cheaper for to pay for Google Cloud to store the videos for 2 weeks and then have the model process them.
Does that answer your question, Jim? Jim, you're muted.
Yeah, yes, it answers both questions. Thank you.
Do any other members of the public or the board have any further questions on item 3? Okay, we'll go on to item 4, which is a community shredding event.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nabila Guzman will give us a report.
Okay. Nabila, you're muted.
Thank you. President Uten, members of the board, per direction from the board of directors, district staff has researched the feasibility of hosting a community shredding event for the Costa Mesa Sanitary District trash customers. District staff worked with CRNR Environmental Services for vendor and logistic information for the shredding event hosted on January 23rd in Newport Beach. A shredding event in Costa Mesa would be executed similarly to the Newport Beach event and use the same vendor, Southern California Shredding. This company completes the shredding on site at a cost of $100 per hour per vehicle. Additionally, the company only provides staff to load the shredder. CMSD would need to provide all other event staffing. District staff recommends a 4-hour event, which is similar to previous district held community events like the Compost Giveaway and Goodwill Drive. The event would need 4 shredding vehicles to be able to accommodate the length of the event, and Southern California Shredding would need to be paid for 6 hours, event time plus setup and cleanup. That is per hour per vehicle at an approximate cost of $2,400. Additional costs identified for the event would be renting a dumpster for cardboard left behind by residents, as the shredding company does not remove it. The district would also need to find a location to host the event. Previous community events have been held at the OCC Recycling Center, and the college has been kind enough to waive the cost of using that parking space. This event would need a larger space to operate, so cost and location are unknown. An event like this would need an additional 20 event workers aside from myself and Mike Carey. The event staffing allocation would be as follows. So we would need 6 workers for unloading vehicles, 2 per shredding truck, 4 workers for dealing with cardboard, 1 worker to dispose of cardboard, so to be the runner, 2 workers for checking resident eligibility, since the event would be for trash customers only, 5 workers for traffic control, and then 4 workers for rotating for brakes and moving traffic cones, easy ups, and just assisting as needed. Unfortunately, CMSD does not have the staff available to host the event. The Newport Beach event on January 23rd was fully staffed by the city's maintenance staff. The district explored the possibility of CRNR providing the staffing for the event, but at this time, due to COVID, they would not provide a cost for staff. The ongoing pandemic would also make it difficult for the district to find a location to host the event and find 20 event workers. Staff is recommending that if the board wants to proceed with the shredding event, then we can budget it for fiscal year 21-22 or 22-23. Hopefully by then the pandemic would be over and staff would be able to plan it and host it. That concludes my report. I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do any of the directors have questions?
I'm thinking that a possible location could be Estancia High School because they have the entrance that you could come in and exit very easily. They do it on a weekend date when there's not much activity. There's not much activity at all right now at Estancia. So if it was held this year, I think that could be a possible location. And if it's held next year, that could be a good location also if OCC is not available. Just a thought.
Mr. President?
Brett?
Yeah, I would agree with Director Perry, and also, I've held a lot of these sorts of events for various organizations, and the school parking lots are, through NMUSD have always been a great opportunity. So Estancia is one. I would also venture to say, as Vice President Schaefer indicated earlier, about realtors and CPAs who have all sorts of reasons for this for their own clients. Partner up with them at their location even, or even get even a little help with a grant type deal to help offset any costs. So my opinion would be to look into that, and obviously right now is not the time. We can't do any of this, but looking at budgeting this and bringing this back to the board, in the next year, COVID permitting, might be worth doing.
Any other directors' comments?
Yeah, Bob, just real quick.
Mike?
Yeah, obviously with the pandemic and all of that, any large gathering, and this, I know this is an in and out situation, but people are still gonna congregate to a certain extent. And I like the suggestion. This would be a great event. Like Brett just said, we could do this in April right after tax day, so people could get rid of all their tax documents and things. I just think that we need to push this off into the near future to make sure that we don't violate any COVID protocols and things like that.
Well, I think that would be, that's good for people who have a records management system and they can get rid of their 5-year-old records. And anyway, what my thought on this was, this ties right into what the city's organic recycling program mandate, SB 1383 or whatever it is. I think we should coordinate with the city. The city has supports staffs like this, events like this, like the fish fry. The city, I think this is probably our opportunity to work with the city. The city should have in their organics plan, these types of items, and to do it on a regular basis, and then overall, it's the city's responsibility to meet the 1883 requirements. And I think I think we need to, I'm sure they're aware of it, and they should have a plan coming out pretty quickly. And in that plan should be included any types of things that will decrease the presence of organics in going to the landfills.
Mr. President?
Director Schaefer.
Okay. I'd just like to say that being that we can't do anything really right now, I think it's a great idea to think of 22 really. It makes sense. But in the meantime, try to go for a grant and have the grant be with the city as well as the Chamber of Commerce and us. And maybe that would have more meat in it. And I think it's a great idea, but why not try?
Mr. President, I have an idea also, another comment.
Oh, Director Perry.
Okay, if in Target at Huntington Beach, within the last 6 months, they've had 2 electronic events where the company comes out with their truck. They have 2 people manning it. The people unload all their electronics onto pallets. They have no contact with the public other than getting their address for their records. But I think we could do something like that at our Target or another location in the city. And that's a lot of electronic things that are dropped off. You know, we dropped off like 2 big TVs, 65-inch TVs, and I thought it was really well run. And they're advertising again at Target in Huntington Beach for another event. So I think an event like that could really be good for us to make the arrangements with our local vendors. Just a thought.
So Target provided the site and some help with manning and or.
No, I think the company provided the recycling company provided the 2 people that work there. Target provided an area in their parking facility for people to drive in. They unload the stuff themselves and they put it on the pallets. And then the truck loads, at some point the truck is loaded back up and all the stuff is taken away. It's usually a one or 2 day event in a parking lot. It was really well run and I dropped off a lot of things that we had. So just a thought, that's something that we might be able to make contact with our local Target store.
Any other director's comments? Well, I think we have a huge opportunity and a huge need to do these kinds of events. But so let's go on to cardboard recycling event.
Mr. President, if I could, before we go on item number 5, just
Wait.
for clarification, if I'm hearing from the board correctly, you want us to put this in the budget for 2021-22, the shredding event?
Well, at least an evaluation of how we're working with the city and what the alternatives are and potential locations and costs and so on.
Right, so
Director,
if
Jim
we could-
Mosier. Oh, I'm
could-
sorry. Go
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah, thank
Jim,
you.
you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you, President Uten. Regarding the cost of this, I wanted to mention that the Newport Beach event that is mentioned in the staff report, I believe, I could be wrong, I believe a annual shredding, e-waste, and compost giveaway events are part of the CR&R contract with the city of Newport Beach, which, as you would point out, means that the cost of those, whatever it may be, and I'm not sure what it is probably built into that contract. And the other comment I want to make is the staff report mentions that the district would be verifying eligibility to participate in the shredding event whenever it is held in some way. I don't know how they plan to do that. That when Newport Beach advertises the shredding event, it says it is open to CR&R residential customers in Newport Beach. So I would guess that your trash customers who reside in Santa Ana Heights, East and West, are eligible to participate in the Newport Beach CR&R shredding event. And I don't know if they would be eligible to participate in this one or if you're looking for Costa Mesa residents or what. And the Newport event also says that they won't accept business waste from businesses. I don't know how they tell what the waste is coming from. Thank you.
Scott, does staff have direction?
I believe so. So we can come back when we're doing our budget process and budget review for the board. We could put shredding events in the budget, and we could talk about then how much it'll cost and potential sites and also some potential partnerships with other organizations like the city and the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, and I think also we ought to query the realtors. You know, I've taken shredding materials to a Whiteman event over by his main office. And you know, there were no staff involved, you know, except for the shredding company, and they unloaded my car and shredded it. And do they shred cardboard?
No.
Okay,
They shredded your car?
cardboard.
Well,
Yeah. Well, yeah, one of my old cars, they'd shredded it.
you just said they unloaded your car and shredded it.
No, that's exactly what I said.
And Mr. President,
Director Eccles.
one follow-up, Scott. Yeah. I think if I'm hearing correctly, the board, if we could kind of have a line item in here in the next budget and maybe a rough cost for the budget purposes. And I would also say there's going to be a lot of high school kids who that requirement of community service hasn't gone away just because of COVID. So there's going to be a lot of sophomores and juniors right now who are going to have to satisfy a lot of this stuff in the next couple of years. So I have a feeling we'll have a lot of, excuse the pun, cheap labor at our disposal. So, and it would help the students satisfy their requirements. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Can we move on to item, let's go to the cardboard recycling event.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to be a nice guy and give Nabila her off, and I'm going to do this report myself. So the cardboard recycling events, this was brought to our attention for discussion in light of, as we all know, all the boxes that are being delivered to people's homes due to COVID, of all the online shopping. There is definitely an uptick in cardboard boxes, and as a result, the market is very strong now for cardboard boxes. In fact, Ed Roberts informed me yesterday that he's seen an uptick in cardboard scavenging because of the market's up. So the discussion today is, do you want to have a drop-off event for cardboard, similar like the shredding events, where people would drive up to a location, whether it be the Estancia High School or the OCC Recycling Center, and they drop off their cardboard. That's open for discussion. I do want to let the board and the public know that in our curbside collection program, residents can put their cardboard in their mixed waste cart. It is recommended that they break down their cardboard, whether they rip it up or they can fold it down and put it in their carts. There are YouTube videos that demonstrate how to break down your cardboard. In fact, I think we're going to put a short video ourselves out on social media on how to break down your cardboard. So that's one option. Residents can just put their cardboard in their carts. OCC Recycling Center does accept cardboard. There's no monetary compensation. They do not compensate residents for dropping off their cardboard at the center. But as you know, the center is closed right now, so people cannot go there at this point until we get through this pandemic. There is the recycling center on Enninger in Santa Ana that is open to the public. And I did call them to confirm that they do accept cardboard, but like the recycling center, they do not compensate people for disposing their cardboard. If you can just drop it off and the recycling center will recycle it. So we're looking for directions from the board today. Do you want to have a recycling event, or do you want us to just continue promoting the drop-off sites and the curbside collection event for recycling cardboard? Also, before and you did receive a comment from a resident, from Ms. Carolyn Lunn, recommending us to, or highly encouraging us to work with Amazon to pick up cardboards. I guess people can drop off leave their cardboards off at their homes, and Amazon come and pick them up and reuse them, recycle them. So if that's of interest of the board, we'd like to have some directions from you as well. So that concludes my presentations. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do the directors have any questions?
Mr. President?
Oh, go ahead. Brett, go ahead. Go ahead, Brett.
Sorry. I think that this could be very similar to the shredding that we just gave staff direction to. Obviously, this isn't going to happen right now, but I would love to see this happen when COVID permitting and all that thing. I mean, my own house, you guys can come visit sometime. It's like if I had a little kid, the forts would be awesome that they could make out of all the boxes we have. So that part's kind of cool, but the rest of it is just, and I talked with several residents, and without naming names or addresses, they break down the boxes. They don't use their organics cart. That obviously has been, an issue that people have talked about over the past several years. Now Newport gets to experience that as well going forward on a different subject, but I just don't see residents doing that, using that bin just to do boxes. They put them by their cart in the alley, and some drivers are nice and they pick them up for them. That's just not a sustainable thing. I think this would be a great event to do, when permitting, and I would support it going forward in some form or fashion.
Dr.
Bob,
Schaefer? Yep.
yeah, I'm just going to say that if I agree, this kind of event would be fantastic, but I think we need to look at it maybe in January, right after Christmas. I mean, if we're going to have an impact, that would be the time of the year to do this, right after, because I agree with Brett. My grandkids would have loved having the boxes that Grandma got before she bought the presents. So I would like to see us do this going forward. While we're on the subject, Bob, is it okay to discuss this email we got from Miss Lund right now?
Well, it was part of it was one of the attachments. So I think it's appropriate.
Okay, just a couple of comments. And while I appreciate what this initiative is trying to do to reuse boxes, I have some concerns about, first of all, this means another person is going to be coming up to our doorstep, picking up things. I mean, and there's been some concerns about that just with delivery people. How does Amazon do? I didn't see anything in the report. Is Amazon agreeing to doing this? That would be a question I have. But more than anything, and Director Perry, I think, will appreciate this. If we, right now, when our public puts their cardboard in their bin and it goes to CR&R for disposal, we get a credit on our organics percentage. If we support a program like this, where Amazon comes in and picks up all the boxes, we lose a percentage of our recycling accountability by having another agent, somebody else taking care of it. I don't know how significant, and I'm not trying to overplay this, but it's still a loss in our accountability percentage that we need to be cognizant of if we agree to something like this. I think we need to do a little more research on this initiative. I'm not willing right now to go forward and say I support it, but that doesn't mean I won't support it if I have more study on it.
Yeah, I think Amazon only intends to pick them up when they drop something off, and I can't see residents, thinking that's a viable program or even understanding it, or a lot of education would have to go into it. Director Schaefer?
Yes.
Bob, go ahead, Arlene.
Oh, okay. I really feel that we should think about this, and we could always put it in the budget and always pull it out. But I think to have this, our program, would be great visibility for us. And meanwhile, we could still go on looking at the program.
Bob,
Director Perry?
I think Mike hit it on the head. We have an obligation to CR&R because I put all my cardboard in my trash can and they recycle it. And one of the things I said, cardboard is a good commodity right now. So we should have to have it before we do anything. We should have a discussion with CR&R to see what their feelings are. But I think we owe it to them to do what we're continuing to do.
Yeah, we have a code enforcement officer that is directly tied to scavenging reduction, because CR&R thinks those are their products once they get in the bin, and they don't want taken out. But I'm not, yeah, I think we should, that'll be part of the staff report. I would recommend is that we do research on that.
Mhm.
Whether it's in the contract or I guess staff will probably contact CRNR. You know, I was thinking this is also a program that should be in the city's plan to reduce organics. And then we need to work closely with and be supportive of the city's plan. That has got, I think Namilia's probably been in contact with the sustainability contract, the lady that's in charge of sustainability at the city. And so I'd like to see in a future presentation, you know, what the city's plan is to get in compliance. And this has got to be one of the subparts or the alternatives for that effort. So I think we should think in terms of budgeting it and budgeting it in a time appropriate manner, and also you know, getting direction from the city's plan and how they're going to get to the level of what SB 1883 or 1383 or whatever it is. Anyway, any other director's comments or public comments?
Just a kind of a quick follow-up, Bob. Scott, Nabila, I'm not sure who can answer this, but do we have any evidence that Amazon supports this program? I mean, all of the cities that were listed are in Northern California. Did the city of Newport Beach endorse this? That would be a question. And what I would really like to know how Amazon, and I don't know how we get that information, but I'd like to know what Amazon feels about this.
Yeah, it's news to us. We learned about it once we received the email from Ms. Lund. So if you want us to do some more research, we can do that and report back to the board.
The other thing it mentions in there, Scott, was she was pretty specific about the term packing materials. Does packing materials mean all that stuff that's on the inside? Because Amazon doesn't normally put stuff in there. They just put it in, in an empty box. So does packing
here's what they put this stuff in there. This is like this bubble wrap.
Yeah.
This is what they put in there.
And they put peanuts and other things. What do you do? Sit at your desk and pop the bubble wrap? Is that
I have an Amazon box on my desk. I have an Amazon box.
So just if we can get some clarification on that, I'd appreciate it.
Well, Amazon is one, FedEx is one, the post office is two, or three, or there's half a dozen delivery services, not just Amazon.
Yeah, that's right, Bob. That's a good point.
Exactly right.
Any other director's input on this item?
Mr. President, just for some direction, then, if I'm hearing the board correctly, you want us to place this item in the budget as well for discussion, a cardboard recycling event.
Yeah.
Okay.
With alternatives, and or with how we're tied into the city on their plans for sustainability.
Right.
They should have that by the time. Although, what is our budget? We're coming up on the next 2-year budget, probably immediately. So probably none of those questions can be answered, but they could be answered by the time COVID is over. The city's got to have a plan pretty soon.
Scott, can this be done by March or April?
A cardboard event?
No, as far as putting this on our study session.
Well, Arlene, I think the next item is budgeting this.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So we'll put it in our budget. We'll put it in our budget proposal, and then we'll have that for discussion at a future board meeting.
And the budget won't be due until
June.
June or so.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
So then we'll get an idea where staff is going with this as far as a budget item. But any other director's comments on this or any other item?
Just Mr. President.
Director Eccles.
Just suggestion. I mean, again, it can be put in a preliminary budget for our review and comment study, it can be just a line item, and we've got some rough numbers here in this two staff reports. You
Yeah.
could, add those and maybe a couple extra bucks, and then down the road, once we do get to the point of maybe if we do decide to go forward with one or both of these,
Yeah.
then you can say, okay, well, this is going to cost 10 grand, but we can get half of it funded by someone else. Cool. We just saved a couple bucks from our budget, just handle it that way.
Okay, good comment.
Good comment.
Bob, one last comment. I
Sure.
think Mike Carey's online. Maybe we should ask him to discuss this with CR&R, the cardboard recycling event, what their participation could be with us, and or the idea of them handling the cardboard in the trash container. They can recycle that, but just to let him have a discussion with CR&R.
Right.
Okay,
Good-
Yeah, we can
good-
certainly look into that.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
okay, let's go on to closing items then. Are there any other oral communications and director's comments that need to be brought forward at this time?
Yeah, I have one, Bob, real quick. Scott, I had sent you a picture of a organics can at a market. Did you happen to get that by any chance?
Yes.
Do we, just so the rest of the directors know, there's a market on Harbor Boulevard right next to McDonald's called, and I'm not good at my Japanese, so bear with me, Saiwa Market.
Yeah.
And driving through the parking lot there, I noticed that they had an organics, a lime green organics recycling container in their trash area or towards the back of their store. And I didn't get out and look into the can, but it looked like they were using it for more than just organics. I don't know whether I don't think CR&R gave them, and Mike Carey, maybe you can find out. I don't think CR&R gave them that bin, but somehow they have a bin that they're using in the back of their market. So I think we need to look into that a little bit.
Well,
I
Mike,
would recommend
were you
that CR&R
driving?
go look into it.
Yeah, were you driving through the parking lot heading for Chick-fil-A?
No, I don't eat at Chick-fil-A.
Probably McDonald's.
Except on Sunday. I go there on Sunday.
Well, I walk by there every day, so I'll take a look. I had not noticed that.
It's right next to the McDonald's drive-in, and I won't tell you how I knew that it was next to the McDonald's drive-in, but that's where it is.
Yeah, I'll check
Okay.
that too.
I can address that if you'd like. I can address that briefly if you'd like. I'm not certain of that specific container, but we do offer food waste containers to businesses to help them be in compliance with the new regulations. So we can do that either in conjunction with or independently of a solid waste contract. We can place food waste recovery bins at businesses.
Okay.
Mike, do we get credit for that as a sanitary district?
No, because it's commercial.
I know, can't we still get credit because it's CR&R?
But
I don't know.
We don't do the commercial trash.
I know, but the city in general should get credit for it along with what we do. Don't.
Well, the city will get credit. The city will get credit, but not us.
Okay, just so we get credit for it in the city, to keep our totals up.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that comment. I guess I wasn't aware of that, and I appreciate it.
Hey, Mike, when you get a chance, how many of those cans do you have out in the city? If next, you don't have to tell me now, but maybe at another meeting.
Right. Yeah, I can look at that. I can look at food waste only businesses or food waste in conjunction with solid waste.
Okay, that sounds good. We can give that information to the city when they start their program too.
Yeah, the city has that information, but
Okay.
I'm happy to give it to you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Any other oral communications or director's comments?
I just wanted to comment on thanking the staff for the awareness campaign kickoff, that the sheet that they sent us so that we could, have some information on it.
From Tri-Pepe. Any other comments? If not, thank you all for participating, and I'll adjourn this meeting. Have a good, safe holiday. I was going to say good, safe holiday. Good, be safe.
Next Monday is a holiday.
Well, that's probably why I thought about
I'm
that.
sure it was.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you.